Law number 31, have impeccable manners. Maybe it's because mama raised me right, but I can't stand people with bad manners. It's absolutely disgusting, and besides being a personal deal breaker, a lack of manners seriously harms your chances of social success. There is a very successful hedge fund in New York, and they are notorious for having one of the most grueling corporate interview process in the world. One of their positions, which carries a starting salary of $1 million before bonuses, has a selection process lasting over a year. If you pass every single one of the tests throughout the year, you are invited to a dinner with the senior members, and you're told the dinner is to celebrate being selected for the job. However, that isn't actually the case, as you're not told that this dinner is your final test. During the dinner, the CEO, CFO, and vice president count how many times you say please and thank you to the waiters and staff working at the restaurant. There is an unknown number you have to reach, and if you fall short, you don't get the job. After a year of interviews, you live or die at the job based on your manners. If these successful hedge fund managers think good manners are worth $1 million, then maybe it's something more people should pay attention to. Law number 32, state your intent. Multiple guys approach women every single day, so by approaching you become just like all the randoms she's dealt with that week. Additionally, what does it say about you as a person if you are willing to leave your path to invest your valuable time in a complete stranger? It screams low value, and the moment you do it, you're fighting a losing battle. There is only one scenario where it is acceptable to approach a girl who you don't know and try to hook up with her. That is when you state your intent. When you state your intent, i.e. telling her exactly why you came over to talk to her, you remove the entire pretense and you put your balls and manhood on the line. This cuts right through the bullshit and shows her that you want her for one thing and you're man enough to come and go for it. High-value women find this type of confidence sexy. They do not appreciate you talking to them out of the blue and hiding your intent in a ploy to win her over. Fuck that. Don't approach her. But if you do, make sure you tell her that it was because you had to know who owned those gorgeous legs that caught your eye from across the room. Anything else is a waste of her time and, more importantly, yours. Law number 33, make assumptions, not statements. You must do something creative for a living. This is an example of a classic assumption you can make when talking to a girl you like. Assumptions are the key to getting into a proper conversation. Making an assumption about her forces them to respond. If you're right, she will feel a sense of validation, because in this example, she obviously dressed a certain way due to her identity, and now a complete stranger noticed and complimented her on it. This is standard hot girl psychology. No girl just throws on a piece of clothing and heads out of the house. Every item is carefully thought out and an extension of her as a person. Making compliments about her outfit and then an assumption as to why she chose the outfit is a guaranteed conversation starter. And even if your assumption is incorrect, you've displayed that you've taken an interest in her as a person, and as long as you nailed all the first impression points, she will be curious as to why you made the assumption that you did. Either way, assumptions always transition into a proper conversation. Law number 34, tease and challenge every girl you meet. The point of banter, teasing, being playful, challenging her, it's all about building attraction, and then turning that attraction into sexual tension, and then later sexual arousal. You must understand that this is not a technique. Being a playful guy who teases her is not a trick that you just pull out and use because you're trying to get her attracted. It has to become a part of you. You have to set yourself up as a guy who is constantly teasing, a guy who is always playful, and a guy who is always challenging her at the core of her being. This is what separates you from the rest of the pack. Think about the majority of guys that any cute girl meets. They're all yes ma'am, no ma'am, 3 bags full ma'am. They fall at her feet and do anything she wants without ever making her second guess herself, or think twice, or ever feel like she's not totally in control. This is weak sauce, and she feels nothing for these guys. You must be the difference. You must embrace the nature of being a tease. Let it become part of you. Don't just tease the girls that you like, start teasing all women, all the time. Become the playful guy and establish that is who you are from the very beginning. Law number 35, stories are king. Stories can demonstrate your value, your philosophy, and even your mindset. It's a much more subtle strategy, and a perfectly crafted story can create more attraction and more sexual tension than anything else coming out of your mouth. Here are the steps you will need to ensure that your stories are generating attraction for you. Step 1. Write down all the stories you know. Get out a sheet of paper and write on one side every single story you can remember, using up one line for each story. The stories don't have to be in chronological order, but write down as many as you can, one per line and on one side of paper. Then put the piece of paper away in a drawer somewhere and leave it for a week. Come back after a week, turn it over onto the blank side and repeat the exercise again. This time, however, you cannot use a story you have already used before. Step 2. Identify stories that demonstrate attractive qualities. Think about the qualities that women find attractive. Confidence, living in one's own reality, preselection, a sense of adventure, being fun, etc. These are all different qualities that will work in your favor. What you need to do is select each of your stories that show one of these qualities. Law number 36. She needs to feel comfortable with you. Don't mistake feeling comfortable with feeling platonic. There's a massive difference. If a woman has platonic feelings towards you, you may as well forget it. You're the gay best friend, and she will certainly not be making the beast with two backs with you. More importantly, a woman can be as attracted to you as she likes, but if she's not comfortable around you, she's not having sex with you. She's not having a second date. You're not getting anything. If she doesn't feel comfortable around you, it's not going to go anywhere, regardless of how much attraction you have. I'm sure there are plenty of women out there who have had sex with a guy they were comfortable with, even if they didn't really find him attractive or were into him sexually. Ask most women and they'll tell you that there was this one guy, on this one date, where she wasn't into him at all, but she just felt so chill around him that she let herself go, and before she realized it, she was riding him away, not a care in the world. That story happens all over the world. Now find a girl who says that she was out with a guy who was totally creepy, made her feel uncomfortable, and that she didn't feel safe around him, but he was so hot that she had to sleep with him. Doesn't happen, amigo. Yeah, I'm sure there's some twisted psycho lady out there who gets off on that kind of thing, but for 99.9999% of emotionally stable, well-adjusted adult women, that simply will not happen. Law number 37. Always be escalating. Picture the scenario. You're on a date with a girl, you're chatting, having fun, getting along, and really enjoying each other's company. But you're too shy to touch her, and at the end of the night, you awkwardly go in for the kiss and she resists. That's your old story. That's the old you. The new you goes on a date, is playful, teases, is challenging, and you touch her early and often. You escalate your touch and conversation from platonic to sexual, and eventually she's comfortable with you touching her consistently. When you go in for the kiss, it's natural and a given because she's become used to your touch. Remember, no means no, but you should always be escalating if you want to have sex with her. You can't just jump straight to being sexual. You have to warm her up to the idea, as all women are generally averse to being touched by men they've just met. Law number 38. Be polarizing. If some women don't hate you, then you're really doing something wrong. No, I didn't just hit my head and lose the plot. I'm talking about a major mistake I see way too many men making. It's the mistake of trying to please every girl that you meet. Here's the big problem with that. When you try to please every girl you meet, you become bland. Bland like boiled chicken, seasoned with white rice, served with a side of nobody gives a fuck. She can hate you. She can love you. But she needs to have an opinion about you. Women hate it when guys don't challenge them. They hate a guy who's a walkover. Don't get this wrong with being a nice guy. There's nothing wrong with being a pleasant human being, a gentleman. But you must always be your own man. Nothing is more unattractive than a guy who's just middle of the road, boring, agreeable, and more than anything predictable. Every guy that they meet, because each one tries to please her, bores most women shitless. Don't ever try and please a woman you've just met for the sake of doing so. Be your own king. Be polarizing. Law number 39. Text should be leading towards meeting her. Do you like imaginary girlfriends? No, I didn't think so. The only way you can have sex, connect with her, date her, have fun with her is when you're actually with her. If you've sent more messages this week than girls you have actually seen, then that needs to change real quick. You're reading this because you're an ambitious, forward-thinking badass. You know it, I know it, and we want her to know it as well. She won't get to see how awesome you are if you don't actually see her, so your primary objective at all times should be get her to see you. The majority of your messages must have the goal of getting her to meet you. Law number 40, text should be making her think about having sex with you. If she's not thinking about having sex with you every time you text her, you're wasting your time. Now don't get this confused up with sexting. Telling a girl you've just met some X-rated filth is the quickest way to come across as a sex-starved teenager or a pervert. You have to find the right balance. The sweet spot when you use a careful balance of your words, teasing and sexual innuendo to make her think about you sexually. It's almost like Inception via text. If you can pull this off, then she will be getting horny, thinking about you, and she won't even really know why. In the texting blueprint, I have a library of over 97 examples, but one of my favorites is, I've decided, this isn't going to work out. It would just be fights and passionate make-up sex the entire time. This type of text immediately gets her thinking about make-up sex with you, even though you haven't explicitly said anything that X-rated. Click the link in the description for video number 5 and take control of yourself and your life when it comes to be the man that women adore. Like and subscribe for more amazing videos.